to report foreign students who break certain rules. The Trump administration wants Harvard to evaluate each academic department to make sure each is providing diverse viewpoints. A group of Harvard professors are also suing the Trump administration over the threats to block funding.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg taking the stand in a historic antitrust trial. It could force the tech giant to break off Instagram and WhatsApp. The FTC is accusing Meta of illegally building a social networking monopoly through its acquisition of Instagram and WhatsApp. The FTC initially filed the lawsuit in December of 2020. It was thrown out 6 months later, but the agency was allowed to amend and refile its case months after it was dismissed. There will not be a jury, and that means the judge will be issuing the final ruling. If he rules against Meta, the company could be forced to sell Instagram and WhatsApp. In a statement, a Meta spokesperson said regulators should be supporting innovation rather than trying to break up the company.
Crosswalk signals were hacked in several Bay Area communities over the weekend.
After pushing the button and hearing the automated voice say, "Wait," walkers were met with voices that claimed to be Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. KCRA 3 Sarah McGrew shares more from San Francisco.
The hacked crosswalks were reported in Palo Alto, Menlo Park, and Redwood City over the weekend, and of course, TikTok videos of them started to pop up. Take a listen to this one that was recorded near University in Florence in downtown Palo Alto.
Hi, this is Elon Musk. Welcome to Palo Alto, the home of Tesla engineering. You know, they say money can't buy happiness, and yeah, okay.
And just a few blocks down University, this time on Emerson, was another one.
Hi, I'm Elon. Can we be friends? Will you be my friend? I'll give you a Cybertruck, I promise. Is this the hacking?
And one of our producers checked out those crosswalk signals in Palo Alto earlier today, but the sound now appears to be disabled. Redwood City said that 4 of its crosswalks were impacted and those have now been disabled. The city also reminds people that tampering with city infrastructure is illegal and could cause safety issues. Menlo Park said that the crosswalks impacted along El Camino Real are operated by Caltrans. I also reached out to Palo Alto but haven't heard back. In San Francisco, Sarah McGrew, KCRA 3 News.
A bill in Tennessee to require undocumented students to pay tuition for public education is now on hold. This comes as protesters gathered on the State House grounds in Nashville this afternoon, calling for the bill to get voted down. The proposed law would allow schools to charge tuition and refuse enrollment to undocumented students if tuition is not paid before classes start. But a technicality keeps the bill from moving forward until Tennessee lawmakers pass a budget for the next fiscal year.
A federal judge in Vermont warns of a possible constitutional crisis after hearing arguments in the case of the Tufts University student who was detained by immigration officials near her home last month.
Oscar Margain tells us what this could mean for the student.
This is McCarthyism of the worst sort.
Hundreds rallied outside the federal district court in Burlington, Vermont Monday.
If they come for one of our kids, all of them are in danger.
Calling for the release of Tufts student Rümeysa Öztürk, the Turkish national arrested in March by ICE agents near her home in Somerville after her visa was revoked.
The fact that she's sitting in detention now for over 2 weeks is heartbreaking.
Her lawyers accused the government of quickly moving her out to Louisiana in order to avoid court jurisdiction in New England. Federal Judge William Sessions took up the case after a Massachusetts judge determined it should be heard in Vermont, where Öztürk was in transit the night of her arrest.
Both in the District of Massachusetts and in the District of Vermont, how seriously the courts are taking this issue and how quickly they're moving, and that's incredibly important.
The government says Öztürk supports the terror group Hamas, but hasn't provided evidence of such, with the Secretary of State alluding to the pro-Palestinian op-ed she wrote last year in the student paper.
Secretary Rubio is correct. He does have that authority. They're abusing it wildly.
Northeastern constitutional professor Jeremy Paul says there's a provision in the Immigration and Nationality Act that gives the government power to deport for foreign policy reasons.
There's a clear exception in the statute which says not for free speech reasons.
Judge Sessions believes the case is on a constitutional collision course over which government branch has rightful authority. If the judge orders Öztürk to be released on constitutional violation grounds, then the Trump administration can argue it's their discretion to keep her detained under immigration law.
Ostrich's attorneys want her released and have her transferred to Vermont to attend hearings virtually. The federal judge is giving both parties more time to present arguments and evidence.
If you're planning a wedding, it could cost you even more money.
How President Trump's tariffs could add to the already pricey day.
And in the weather, signs of what's to come here on satellite, clouds moving in from the south. Yeah, we're not going to see